Hey, you all. So really quickly, or at least I hope it's really quickly, I wanted to come in here and give you all my opinion about Watch Jazzy, aka Jasmine Brown's interview with, I believe her name is Shan Boudreaux. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing her last name, but she's the host of the podcast Lovers and Friends. And social media was set ablaze last week or a few days ago because of this interview. I think the title of the podcast is called The Art of Submission. And Jazzy is just talking about how she's submissive to her man, who allegedly is Cam Newton, the football player, the NFL football player, I should say. And so I kind of just wanted to give my opinion about it. I watched the clips that were on social media and I decided to kind of dig a little deeper and watch the interview. It's a fairly short interview. It's like 30 minutes, not long at all. If you watch the clips, then you kind of have the gist of the interview. There really wasn't anything new per se that I learned. I will say that I don't have the same reaction that maybe a lot of women on social media have or had. And the reason for that is because I think that Jazzy is in survival mode. I think that she's looking for her pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's obvious that her career probably is not in a place that she wants it to be. When you compare her career to some of her colleagues who came into the industry around the same time as she did, their careers seem to be taking off a bit differently. You know, they have TV shows, they have radio shows, or they're hosting things, and Jazzy really seems stagnant. And that's not me belittling her, because things happen in careers and maybe you thought it was going to go one way and it went another. I'm not belittling her, but after watching that interview, I'm pretty leaned in on that this is an act. I don't believe this is who Jasmine Brown is. You know, she's known for playing these different characters. I think that this is just another character. You know, this is submissive Jazzy, you know, like Toya Turner, this is submissive Jazzy. And she has to play this role because I think her goal, at least, is to eventually get married and or have children by this wealthy NFL player. And this is a way for her to ensure that she has sustainability within her life and that she can live a certain lifestyle and not depend fully on Toya Turn Up or anything else. You know, even at the end of the interview when Shan was promoting what Jazzy had going on, she said, oh, watch, you know, tune into her social media pages at Watch Jazzy. And then also she has a few other projects that she's excited about in the works. That's it. Nothing else. If you go to Watch Jazzy's website, not up to date. Nothing's going on. Nothing. And I think this is her way to make sure that she just sustains a certain lifestyle. And I'm not saying she's a gold digger. I'm just saying that these, you know, Jazzy reminds me of a lot of people nowadays whom they don't read. They listen to TikTok and they listen to podcasts, which God help you depending on which podcast you listen to. And they just regurgitate this empty rhetoric. That's the best way I can describe it, as empty rhetoric from different people. It's not even their own opinions. They can't even formulate their own thoughts. I think she feels that how she's behaving is the way men want her to behave, the way men want women to be. And this is the way, this is what she's chosen to do. I've also come to that conclusion because after listening to the interview, she contradicted herself several times. She talks about her mother a lot in the interview, and she said her mother was of service to everyone. Her mother was a kind person, a loving person, you know, submissive, and she had unconditional love for her father. Well, Jazzy, quite literally, her love is not unconditional. It is very conditional. And the two conditions I was able to identify were wealth and masculinity. Starting with the first condition, now I will say I felt Shan asked a lazy question. Would you date a broke man? Broke is relative nowadays, especially with everything going on with inflation, to say the least. You know, I know people who are multi-degree, who earn six figures or a little under six figures. They're doing well for themselves on paper, but because of financial mismanagement or just because of student loans, bills, rent, mortgage, credit card debt, they're barely able to have any type of discretionary income. It's all going towards bills. Unfortunately, that's many Americans. That's most Americans, actually. Most Americans are in some type of debt, unfortunately. So most Americans aren't wealthy. They aren't rich. And so even though Shan tried to clarify it, I do feel that Shan could have done a better job because she appears to be an intelligent woman. I wish she would have based it on salary range perhaps and been like, would you date a man that earns 80 to 90K? You know, or would you date a man that earns 60 to 75K? You know, things of that nature. But either way, Jazzy's ultimate response was, because Shan said, would you date him if he had all the other qualifications that you want? You know, he creates a safe space, he does this, he does that, he's masculine. She was like, well, no, I wouldn't even know that. In other words, I'm clocking you at the door. If you're not rich, there's no way in hell I'm being submissive to you. Now, let me say this. I am not advising women to date broke men or men to date broke women. I wouldn't advise that, you know. Now, things can happen in relationships where people can be laid off and things of that nature. That's different. But starting off with someone who's, I don't want to say has it all together because none of us have it all together ever, but starting off with someone who's not even trying, or they're given the very minimal, not necessarily my advice. I wouldn't do it. But like I said, broke is subjective. And I think Jazzy is only interested in submitting to someone who can offer her a lifestyle, a wealthy lifestyle that she can sustain or that they can sustain for her. Of course, she wouldn't be submissive to a broke man because he has nothing to offer her. This isn't about personality. This isn't about, you know, this isn't about characteristics. This isn't about morals or values. It's about what he can financially provide for her. Then she keeps saying that she wants a man that's masculine. And I don't think Shan asked her to define that. And I wish she would have, because once again, it's this empty rhetoric, you know, saying things like, my biggest flex is how I take care of my man. My superpower is my love. I have an A plus in learning my man. All of those type of statements, it's just empty rhetoric. It sounds like she listened to a podcast on love and just repeated what they said. That's all it is. It really meant nothing. And honestly, I would have loved to hear a podcast about the art of submission, although I don't think there's an art to submission, but that's my opinion. It doesn't have to be yours. But I would have loved to hear someone to come and actually talk about submission and how it's played in their relationship. What I heard is a woman in survival mode talking about indentured servitude. Because in any relationship, it has to be reciprocal. Jazzy didn't describe anything, any type of love that was reciprocated back at her. Everything had to do with what she does. You never heard her say what Cam does for her. She even said, well, I'm the type of person, I just pour into other people and people don't pour into me. I make it easy for men in relationships. Well, if you make it easy for them, then that should mean that it's so easy that just like you have an A plus in learning Cam, he should have an A plus in learning and knowing you. And see, when Shan asked you, well, does he have an A plus in learning and knowing you? The stammering and stuttering were palpable. I just make it easy for me. So I would say that he is A plus to me. All of that stammering and yammering and stuttering told a different story. He does not. And then when one of her friends, and I'm assuming in confidence, told her, like, listen, girl, Cam is nice and everything, but you're enabling him. She went back and told Cam and asked him, do you think I'm enabling you? Of course, he wouldn't tell you yes. Why would he say, yeah, you're enabling me, or yeah, I don't love you like you love me. This is just temporary. Of course he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't say that. He said the typical response of, no, she just, typical response of jealousy, and she just wishes she had someone she could take care of. Whatever BS he said. But now you've created this wedge between your guy and your friend. She was telling you that as woman to woman, like, listen, girl, I see you doing all these things and I'm concerned you may be enabling him to the point where he's not loving you how you're loving him, or it's not a reciprocal relationship. So if I was Jazzy's friends, I wouldn't say a damn thing about her relationship, because all she's going to do is go back and run back to Cam. Cam, so-and-so said this. Is it true? Do you think, as if he's going to give you an honest answer? You are degrading yourself to the point where you are performing sexual acts, not only that you're uncomfortable with, but that are physically causing you pain. But because he's the man in your relationship and you want to do whatever he says because you want to make sure you get that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you do it. No problem. That's the issue. That's the issue. You shouldn't be in pain in your relationship, physically, emotionally, spiritually, none of that. And you should be able to tell him, like, hey, this isn't my favorite position. Can we do something else? Can we modify it? Is there another way that we can, have a similar outcome without doing this position? There's ways to talk about sex in your relationship in a very, very healthy way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you're not even willing to communicate that. Shan told her, I communicate my concerns in my relationship. And Jazzy's like, well, how do you do that? Jazzy is not communicating anything. She's giving. And Cam is taking. And Jazzy is doing this in the hopes that she'll get something out of it. Like a ring, like marriage. But Cam has what, 7+ children? Did he cheat on his last girlfriend and have a baby on her? You think he's going to change for you? You think he's not going to cheat on you? You think he's not going to do you the same way? Jazzy, you are the flavor of the month. That's all you are. You're just the flavor of the month. And when he gets tired of your flavor, he's going to remix it with another flavor. Because here's the thing. Whatever you start in a relationship, you have to continue. And if you're going to start being submissive and start, I scratch his back to sleep. I know when he's asleep because I could tell when his breathing patterns change. If you do all this nonsense now, you're going to have to do it 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if you're even together that long. You're going to have to continue this, because here's the thing. It's not about what you will do and won't do. It's about personally how he feels. I don't think he's a man that believes in monogamy, which is up to him, but he shouldn't project that he believes in monogamy if he doesn't. And, he's going to move on to the next one. Even if you all get married, you don't think he's going to have side chicks? He's in the NFL. He's an entertainer. He has a track record of not being faithful. And you may feel that because you do all of this, he's going to be the faithful. You're going to be faithful to him. He's going to be faithful to you. Wrong. And it's sad to see, because you're investing so much in him and he's investing so little into you. And I listened to the interview because I was waiting to hear what he does for you. And by your own admission, it's nothing. You know all these things about you, but what does he know about him? But what does he know about you? What does he know? He doesn't even have an A+ in Jazzy, but you have an A+ as him. Meanwhile, he's getting by with a D-. And you're okay with that because it's attached to wealth and masculinity. Her words, not mine. So, not much you missed if you didn't, listen to the entire interview. The clips really did a great job at summarizing what the interview was about. I don't dislike Miss Jazzy, but I just feel sorry for her and women like her who feel they have to perform and be a character of themselves just to maintain a relationship. It's not that deep. It's not that serious, at least not for me. But like I said, I think she's in survival mode and she's trying to find something that will sustain her or sustain a certain lifestyle. So if you watch the clips or if you listen to the entire interview, let me know your thoughts. Before someone asks me, am I reviewing Real Housewives of Atlanta? I've been bored with it, so I have really no commentary on it. I'm bored with Marlo, bored with the whole thing. Beverly Hills, I'm not bored with. I just have not had the time to talk about it. But oh, honey, we have a lot to talk about. with Janky Jenkins, Racist Renna, and the rest of the crew. So I will try my damnedest this week to recap this week's episode and possibly last week's. We'll see, because moving forward, I just want to recap the current episode because my internet, AT&T, is bootleg and it gives me all types of trouble. So anyways, we will get to Atlanta, and I really don't have much for Love and Marriage Huntsville, but we'll see how I feel. Maybe this weekend sometime I'll come in and give you my thoughts. So if there's nothing else, I will see you all later. Bye.